In 1968, in a quiet corner of Monroe, Connecticut, something unnatural was sealed away, not in a cell, but in a glass case, lined with prayers and sealed with fear. The Warrens had seen what it could do, up close. They didn't just call it a doll, they called it a vessel, a gateway for something far darker than most could comprehend. It had already hurt people, so they did what they could. Bound it in, hid it away behind holy protection, and they warned everyone who came near it never touch the glass, never speak to it, never challenge it. But evil doesn't follow rules. It doesn't stay where it's told. It doesn't need to escape to reach you. Sometimes it just watches and waits. Decades later, the doll is still there, still behind the glass, still smiling, and still playing with people's lives. This is what happened to one of them. A guy named Ryan, who made the mistake of laughing at Annabelle. Fast forward to a few years later, the museum had become a kind of legend. People booked visits, took pictures, even made jokes about it online. One of those people was a guy named Ryan. Mid-20s, into bikes, thrill-seeking, that type. He'd heard about the Warren Museum through a podcast and figured he'd check it out with his girlfriend while passing through Connecticut. Now, Ryan didn't believe in curses, demons, or anything like that. He thought it was all just a show. Something old folks made up to sell tickets. They arrived around noon. The place was quiet, older than he expected, more creepy than cool. As they walked through the small, cluttered museum, they passed haunted mirrors, cursed wedding dresses, and old shadow boxes with stories attached. And then they stopped in front of the glass case, the one holding Annabelle. Ryan leaned in, smirking. "She's smaller than I thought," he whispered to his girlfriend. Then, looking around to make sure no one was watching, he lightly tapped the glass and said, "Come on, do something scary." His girlfriend nudged him, whispering, "Stop, that's not funny." But Ryan laughed it off. They took a few pictures, made their way back out, and by 3:30 that afternoon they were back on the road. The highway was mostly empty. Ryan was riding ahead on his motorcycle, while his girlfriend followed behind in her car. Everything seemed fine at first, until about 15 minutes in when things started to feel wrong. His girlfriend noticed it first. Ryan began swerving a little, like he wasn't focused. Then he started turning his head back like someone was calling his name. Only there was no one around. No noise. Nothing but the wind. She honked once to get his attention. He waved his hand like everything was fine, but it wasn't. He sped up, then slowed down, then drifted toward the shoulder of the road, like something had pulled his attention away. Then, without warning, he veered hard to the right and lost control. The crash was violent. His bike flipped. He was thrown several feet into the ditch. When police arrived, they said it looked like he just panicked or slipped. But his girlfriend told a different story. She gave an interview, said something about that ride never felt right, that he'd been acting weird all day, distracted, jumpy, and just minutes before the crash, she saw him talking to himself, laughing at first, then muttering, then suddenly yelling at something she couldn't see. She said it was like he wasn't even there anymore, like something else had taken over, and just seconds before the crash, she saw him turn his head and smile. Then he screamed, something about a little girl and how she wouldn't stop laughing. But the thing is, his girlfriend swears she never heard any laughter. Not until the crash. And even then, it didn't sound like Ryan.